Positive Anime Reviews is a review show that is designed for people who aren't very picky about their anime, like me. Most anime I watch ends up in my 5 out of 5 category. My reviews are for those people who are looking for a reason to watch anime rather than hate on it. I am willing to give any and all anime a chance before stating my opinion. Lastly, my reviews are all my opinion and might and or most likely won't match yours. If you don't agree, that's totally fine. Just be respectful in the comment section. Thank you. And as always, possible spoiler warning ahead. Hey guys, Darth Clerk here, back with another positive anime review. Today we will be talking about Happy Sugar Life. So, yeah, welcome back to another positive anime review. Even though it's only been like 5 or 6 days or whatever, it's been like basically a week since my last positive anime review. It's just funny because it feels like it's been a while, even though technically it hasn't been. Anyway, so let me just look at my little cheat sheet here. Okay, right. So when did this anime air? This anime aired in the summer 2018 season. Oh wow, that was actually it's a lot newer than I thought it was. That's interesting. Anyway, because I didn't look the first time, so I really didn't know how new it was. But it's actually pretty new. I mean, you know, comparatively, it's actually pretty new. That's interesting. Anyway, so yeah, the summer 2018 season. I don't know if there is a dub of this anime. Because be honest, like, you know, as per usual, I did not look, and I did not watch it if there was one, so there you go. Now, is this an adaptation from a manga? The answer to that is yes, this is an adaptation from a manga. I wonder if I should read the manga. Anyway, regardless, this is an adaptation from a manga, so if you are someone who prefers to read their manga before you watch the anime, or vice versa, well, now you know. So, as always, we will be starting off with the synopsis. It's the cleanest, quickest way of you know, getting down what it's all about. Okay, here we go. So, as usual, if I butcher any, like, Japanese names, I'm so sorry. Okay, Sato Matsuzaka is a beautiful high schooler who has a reputation for being permissive with men. However, a chance encounter with a young girl named Shio Kobe, I was never sure how to pronounce her last name, Shio Kobe, makes Sato realize that this is her first and only true feeling of love. Telling others that she lives with her aunt, Sato secretly shares an apartment with Shio. Despite her innocent appearance, Sato is willing to do anything to protect her beloved, resorting to desperate measures to ensure that their happy sugar life remains intact. So, It's funny though, because like on the surface, if you go by the theme song, this is a very fluffy anime. Don't be deceived. This is not an anime for children. So don't be deceived. This is not an anime for children. And if you could not tell, this is a Shoujo Ai / Yuri anime. So if that does not float your boat, then I do recommend heading for the hills now. But if you're like me and you're a Yuri / Shoujo Ai fanboy, then I recommend sticking around. So, yeah, so the synopsis is super cool. What was funny is when I initially read, yeah, it's funny because as I read the synopsis, I'm like, I have to watch this, and so I immediately stopped and I went to go watch it. So that's why it's pretty funny. Anyway, and so, yeah, so there you go. Now, moving on to our rating section. As far as ratings go, like I said, this is a mature anime, definitely meant for mature audiences. There is bloodshed, there is murder, there is just all kinds of things. There's not straight-out nudity or anything, but there is murder and death in it. So, I would encourage you to only watch it if you are, you know, I would definitely give it an adult mature rating. Now, as far as similar anime is concerned, similar, it's not, I mean, in premise, it's not similar, but our character, and we'll get deeper into our main character, Sato, we'll get more into her into the actual character section, but, it's funny, though, because she reminded me a lot of Yuno from, what is it, Future Diary. She reminds me a lot of Yuno from Future Diary, so if you've seen that, and if you like Yuno, then you'll probably like her. I know I did. Anyway, so she reminded me of that. Now, like, anime premise-wise, it's not at all similar, but they have some similarities as far as characters are concerned. Anyway, so, of course, moving on to our genre section, it is drama, horror, psychological, and it has another one that says shonen. I don't know what shonen means, per se. I'm just curious. What the heck does shonen mean? Doesn't say. Guess you'll never know. Anyway, and so, yeah, so it's drama, horror, psychological, shonen. I don't know what shonen means, but I know what the other three mean. And then here's the other weird thing, is it doesn't say Shoujo Ai, which it should, because that's the premise of the anime, is Sato being in love with Shio and Shio being in love with Sato. That's like the biggest point, is the whole point of it is Sato doing anything to protect Shio, her love, right? And the whole point of the anime, like its underlying theme is love, So it's just crazy that it's mentioned nowhere that it's a Shoujo Ai anime, but it is, all right. And so and it's so weird. It's so weird. I don't understand. If you're like me, Shoujo Ai fanboy / Yuri fanboy, then you watch any of this type of anime that you can find, and especially me, I'm a big fan of mature anime in general. If it's like, no offense, but dumbed down for teens and kids, I often don't like it. That's not to say that I always don't like it, because there is lots of anime that was maybe meant for teenagers that I love, and it's fine. But if it's too dumbed down, it always feels like that they had to make it like less realistic and make it more, more censored and more gentle because it's meant for whatever audience they're shooting for. When I know, like, from a story standpoint, it would have made more sense for it to be more mature or whatever. I don't like it. It feels like when they're telling you, nope, you can't see this because this is meant for kids. That feeling, I hate that. Like, don't tell me what I should and should not watch. I want, don't hold anything back. If it furthers your story, like, say it and, go for it. And I've always been like that. For a very, very long time, I have been that way. And whether it's in games, but mostly I've noticed it in anime, especially, and in movies as well, I suppose. But anyway. But yeah, it's something that it drives me nuts. So it's just funny that when you look at like top 10 lists or like if you look at a site and look at, all right, show me every Shoujo Ai anime you have, and then if you look at it, it's weird because you're not going to find it there. Like, most likely it won't show up, and it's so weird because it's the point of the anime. Like, that is what it's about. So it's so weird. So if I was you guys, I would not trust any like list you ever looked at. The most effective way of finding any anime is just marathon anime. Like, barely trust any list you find, because either you're going to get some pansy that'll tell you this is the goriest anime I could find, and it's some super watered down, G-rated by comparison gory anime, and you're like, I could list 10 off the top of my head that are more gory than this. And it's just stuff like that. Like, I would definitely encourage you to develop your own opinion, much like I have. Anyway, so moving on about my little spiel. So moving on to our season length, this is let me go back to my cheat sheet. 12 episodes long. This is a 12 episode long anime, and the episode length a piece is exactly what you would expect at about 24 minutes a piece. Now, I think that there was times when there was something plot related after the ending theme. So I would encourage you to stick around for that. To stick around for the ending theme and check out, I would encourage you to stick around for the ending theme and check out what's afterwards, because there was occasionally when something plot related would happen. A lot of the time it was just a preview for the next episode, which is fine, which is very common. I've never watched those because I'm going to watch the next episode, so I don't really need to sit around and have you tell me what it's going to be about when I'm going to watch it in a minute. That type of thing. So, but there was a few times, so I would encourage you to stick around and check for yourself if you don't want to miss anything. So moving on to our character sections. Now the character list, it lists like every character that's in this basically is listed as a main character. I kind of disagree. It's very obvious what the anime is about, and then I think that there is a plethora of supporting characters. So we will be hitting the I don't know, maybe the first three. I don't know. Maybe the first three. We'll hit the first three because there's two of them that are obvious, but one of them I was on the fence about. So I think we'll include her as well. And we'll include the first three characters, and we will blow off the other guys because I feel like most of these guys are supporting. Even the third character that I'm going to include might be borderline supporting character, so it's hard to say. But anyway, moving on to our first and definitely alpha main character is Sato Matsuzaka. So Sato is, of course, our main character. She is the pink-haired girl with the cute little buns, and I loved her hair. It was so adorable. Anyway, she is the main character. So in personality, she is very similar to, again, if you have seen Future Diary, she's very much like Yuno Gasai, if you know who she is. She's very much like Yuno, where on the surface she's bubbly and she's cute and she's happy and she's whatever, but like underneath there is a homicidal maniac that will just do like will stop at nothing to get what she wants. Now it's funny because premise wise they are both very similar that way too, where Sato's goal in life is Shio. Anything that revolves around Shio, protecting Shio, making Shio happy, whatever, Shio is Sato's life, and anything else is an obstacle. And so it's funny, everything else is just an obstacle or it's an objective or whatever, but it's like everything else is merely a distraction. And so in like from a personality perspective and like their goal perspective, that's very similar to Yuno, because Yuno was the same way. Her goal was whatever the dude's name was, and Yuki, and she loved him more than anything, right? He was her goal. Same thing. And if anyone knows me, it's very much my character type. Like, hey, that's like one of my favorite character types, so I was all about it. But anyway, Sato is adorable and nice. Obviously, she is amazing with Shio. She's super loving, super caring, and to Shio, and everyone else, she on the surface is like friendly to and polite to and everything else, but if they cross her, and then there's like a list of freaks in this episode, or in this anime. Everyone has some sort of weird, broken mental thing that makes them psychotic, pretty much. There's like one adjusted character, pretty much, but like almost everybody else is crazy. And so it's just funny. It's just funny because everyone was broken in some way, and so anyone that crossed Sato or touched Shio or anything, Sato came unglued. And like, it's something that you definitely have to attribute to the art style, because it's so good. Because Sato, she would get this look in her eye that was just like dead, because like her eyes are like, it kind of like makes her eyes look red, and they just like, it takes like the glow out of them, so it just makes her look like, you could just tell that her homicide is coming out. Like, her serial killer is coming out and she's coming for you. And so you could just tell when it happened, and I liked that. It was very obvious, and I liked that. And anyone that crossed her, or Shio, you know, God forbid, then Sato came with just like, you're gonna die. And she was very good at manipulating people, like if it had to be done, like covering her tracks if someone died, or like enlisting help of people that didn't want to help her by like blackmail or whatever. She was very smart. She was very smart, very good at you know, covering her tracks and taking care of herself and such things. And I was all about it. I loved it. And I mean, and you know, and that's pretty much her. Pretty much. She's sweet. She's adorable, and I love her. So, moving on to our next main character, we have Shio Kobe. I'm not entirely positive how to pronounce that name. We have Shio Kobe. So Shio is the younger girl, and she is of course Sato's significant other. Now, I don't know exactly how old Shio is, and it's kind of sketch in that way if you're bothered by that type of thing. I mean, honestly, I'm not, so it didn't bother me. But if you are bothered by, I don't know, I'm not entirely positive how old or young she was, so you know. But shrug, I don't really care anyway, so whatever. But well, anyway, so Shio is the younger girl. Now, she's very bubbly and happy on the surface, but don't let it deceive you. Just like with everyone else in the anime, there is something about her going on underneath. There's some other part to her. Now, Shio has a lot of trauma in her short life, and there's a lot going on with her mentally, and a lot of like PTSD basically that she has to get over, and that she's working on getting over, and so she's doing her best to do that, but her and Sato feed off each other, and their pairing is so cute because they both have this darker side or dark past or whatever to get over, and they're both getting over it with each other. And I really like that they're feeding off each other to improve and to be better and to like maintain their quote-unquote happy sugar life in the middle of this dark, bitter reality or whatever. And so their little pairing of like you know, the light and the darkness, like, you know, in their own little world, I thought was super cute, and they were really adorable together. So as far as personality goes, Shio is again super caring and loving, and of course she loves Sato more than anything. But in general she's nice to a lot of people, and it seems to be it's not nearly as surface level as it is for Sato. Because for Sato, she might be nice to you, but she doesn't really care, and she's not really invested. She will be polite to maintain her cover, quote unquote, but she only it's not her what she deeply cares about. But with Shio, she's genuinely nice to a lot of people, even people that are obviously nut jobs. But it's obvious that she values Sato more than even those people. Even if she is nice, she's not blind to anything else. And so, so that was a thing. At first I was going to cover just those first three, but we might do a quick little cover of the other characters that are important in this. And those two are the ones we'll go super deep into. The other four that we're going to, maybe the other five we'll go into are going to be kind of a little bit quicker. Anyway, it was kind of a last moment decision, but there you go. So our third character, now the next three are listed as main characters. I would argue that the next three are kind of like, I don't know, important supporting characters, because as obvious it's about Sato and Shio, and everyone else so supports that, right? But it lists the next three as main characters, and so, I would leave that up to debate. But regardless, our next character is Shoujo Hida. Now, Shoujo is, she's the kind of more normal looking, to be honest, like darker haired girl. She has kind of short hair, and her picture's very small from what I'm looking at here, so I'm gonna see if I can blow it up a little better. Okay, yeah, so she's like the purple haired girl, and she's very normal. She is Sato's best friend, and so her character was interesting. She was the only, truly adjusted character in the whole anime. She's the only character that was pretty much normal. Now, that's not to say that she was perfect. She was just the only one that wasn't crazy, right? And so she had some flaws, and she had issue with courage, and she had these issues, and you'll understand all of her issues if you watch the anime. But Shoujo was the only not crazy one, pretty much, in the anime. Now, Shoko's character is interesting. She has an interesting little plot point that happens that, of course, I will not be talking about until the spoiler section, which we will be getting to in this one. But don't worry, I'll warn you beforehand. But other than that, I mean, she was pretty normal. She was nice, and she was caring, and again, the only kind of adjusted one. So it was kind of a breath of fresh air to see someone who wasn't crazy, and she was likable. I mean, so far every character in this anime, every character we've covered so far, it was likable. And so she was likable, and you really wanted her to be happy, and she was very adjusted, and that was very different considering what the rest of these people look like. Anyway, so the next character is Taiyo Mitsuboshi. So Taiyo is the blonde-haired guy. He's one of three guys, I guess, technically, in this anime. Now, Taiyo is the blonde dude. He is nuts. The dude is a whack job. He is obsessed with Shio when he meets her because he's had some trauma as well, and it's kind of broken him. So he's kind of obsessive with Shio as well. And as you can imagine, Sato gets pretty homicidal when Taiyo gets anywhere near her or even mentions her name. But Taiyo is some pretty crazy things happened to him, and I'm gonna be honest, I was pretty happy he was suffering because he was a freak. He was a freak, and I really didn't like him at all. But anyway, he's just a freak. He's obsessed with Shio, and Sato hates him because he's obsessed with Shio, and lots of bad, dark things happen to him, but you don't really care because he's not likable because, like I said, he's a freak. And so our next character, our next male is again his name is another weird one. Asahi. It's like Asahi. It's like Asahi. I don't know. Kobe. So he is Shio's older brother. Now his story is like one of the darkest of everyone in the anime. His life is suffering personified. Now he has a lot of issues, as you might imagine. He is on a quest to find Shio because she is, she's missing, and he's on a quest to find her. Now, a lot of the plot is him meandering, trying to find him. Shoujo actually meets him, and those two have like a kind of a supportive, friendly encounters, but it's nothing else. There's nothing like romantic there, I don't think. I mean, maybe, but like it's not obvious if it is. But they're just kind of supportive of each other. They meet by chance a few times, and I don't know. They know each other, and they're kind of friends, I would say. But he's super tragic because his story is rough, and so you kind of feel sorry for him at first, but he has some broken ideas about his backstory, which again maybe we'll get into in the spoiler section. That you're kind of, oh, screw you. Like, it's just, I don't know. So you end up not liking him despite his super tragic backstory. But he's the darker haired guy in the hoodie with like the scarf wrapped around it. He's kind of the goth, creepy looking dude. That's him. But moving on to our next character, we have Sato's aunt. We actually don't even know her name. That's literally what it's listed as, Sato's aunt. Sato's aunt might be the creepiest person in the anime. So Sato's aunt, she is the one that raised Sato, and she's legitimately freaky. She is a freak, because like often, several times, she just appears, and it's just her face like out of nowhere, and she has this like creepy smile that's always in place that there's something about it. It just like stares into your soul, and you're just like, you just like get like a shiver. Like she is legitimately creepy. There was 2 parts in this anime where I was like, oh man, that's creepy. The first one was Sato's aunt, and then Sato herself has one as well. And Sato's aunt is a creep. So she's like the pink-haired girl. She's often wrapped in bandages, and her story will explain why. She has the creepy lifeless eyes and the creepy smile, and she is insane and incredibly terrifying. So our final character, the last male character, is Daichi, and he has a very long last name, which I'm not going to try to pronounce. He is the only adult-aged dude, the only adult-aged male in the anime. He is the teacher at Sato's school, and he's creepy as well. He definitely has some pedophile tendencies, and he's creepy. And so he's super creepy, but Sato manipulates him like a boss, and like manipulates him into doing her bidding, and I loved her just torturing him, because the dude, he was maybe the most hated character in the anime, and he's creepy. Yeah, he's in like the suit. Probably. I don't even know if I'll be able to find a picture of him. He has glasses. He looks friendly on the surface. Don't let it deceive you. And, and that's it. So our main characters are listed as Sato, Shio, Shoko, Taiyo, and Asahi, I don't know, hoodie guy. I would say that really Shio and Sato are the main characters, and everyone else is supporting characters to a certain degree. But that's basically it. I don't know how many pictures I'll be able to find. I don't know how easy wallpapers are to find of this anime, and so we will just have to play that by ear. So moving on to our favorite / most hated character section, my favorite character was Sato herself. I loved Sato. She reminds me a lot of, like I said, Yuno from Future Diary, and I love Yuno. That's one of my favorite character types, is like the super normal surface level and then crazy homicidal underneath, just underneath it. I love the character type. I don't know why. It probably says something about me, but I love the character type, and Sato had some serious Yuno vibes, and I loved her a lot. She was absolutely my favorite character. And as far as most hated characters, it's probably a close tie between Taiyo, Asahi, and Daichi. Basically all the guys in the anime. Even though Sato's aunt was a creep, I didn't like dislike her. She was a creep, and you're like, she's a freak, but you're still kind of neutral about her. At least I was. But I actively didn't like Taiyu, or I guess it's like, I don't know. It says like Taiyu here, but in the anime they were calling him Taicho. So I don't know. It's like Taiyu, I guess. I don't know. The blonde-haired guy, I didn't like him. He was a creep. Asi didn't like him. He was A, kind of a whiner, and B, he was in the way of Sato and Shio. And then Daichi didn't like him because he was incredibly creepy. So, there you go. That's basically it. That's my favorite / most hated characters. So moving on to animation and music. The animation was on point in this anime. The animation was super, super good, and I think it was important that it was, because when Sato has that homicidal look in her face, and Sato's aunt always has the dead look in her face, you could just tell that like the crazy is coming out, and I liked it, that it was it was more of a simple thing, but it's often super easy to tell when someone was being creepy. And they had this unique art style and way of portraying like their eyes when they go all dead, and they kind of glow, and it's super cool. And then they have this and then they had another like interesting art style of portraying like Sato's mental state, kinda, and not just her, but in other characters too, because the whole point is that it's called Happy Sugar Life, and basically Sato is feeling like the happiness is like kind of like sugar, and Shio is kind of like that sugar, and then and how the world is bitter and lifeless, and it kind of is portrayed by this like dark squiggly marks that look like scribbles, and it's very opposite from the super bright art style and things, and so I liked the art style. The way of portraying that was super cool. The music was another kind of funny point of this anime because it was very misleading. Because the opening and closing song are super peppy and colorful and cute, and then you're like, oh, it's gonna be cute, and then you watch it, you're like, whoa, there was death and murder. Like, holy crap, that was not cute. And there was cute moments, and there was lots of moments you're like, oh, that's so cute, but there was lots of death too. And so it's just funny because and obviously obviously that's on purpose, and I really feel like that it did contribute overall to the overall feel that it's like cute but also creepy, dark, and scary. So I liked that. So, moving on to our final rating and recommendation. This is going to be one that we will have a spoiler section in this one because the rating is going to make no sense based upon what I've said so far. So, moving on to final rating and recommendation, I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. Meh. This anime was okay, but there were several things wrong that kind of ruined it for me, and it's probably not worth buying. So, recommendation. So, this is weird because I liked the anime up until the ending. Now, don't worry, we're not in spoiler territory yet, and I will warn you before we get there. It was all on point. The anime was on track for a 5 out of 5. It was absolutely on track. I liked it a lot. And then the ending. The ending sucked, and I didn't like the ending at all, and I felt like it ruined it. Even though the rest of the anime was good, and so that's why it's such a shame because I wanted it to be good so bad. But alas, the ending is not good. So part of me recommends you buy it, or not buy it, but watch it. Part of me recommends that you watch it because I'm happy I watched it so I know, and I got to see the characters, and I don't know, but I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to, because that ending is always going to piss me off. And so, I don't know. And so, maybe watch it. I'm kind of neutral on it because, like I said, the reason it got a 3 out of 5 is meh. It's because, there was a lot that I liked, but the bad it matches it, so it's not worth it. So, I don't know. I'm on the fence about whether you should watch it or not. So, I guess that's up to you. But we will be moving on to the spoiler section. So, this is where I get into exactly why I didn't like it. And where I can go into spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers about it and you do plan on watching it, then I recommend taking off. And I will give you just a minute to do just that. I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we'll get started on the spoiler section. Okay. So, spoiler section. This anime was good, okay? That's what makes me mad, is the anime was good. It was on point. So, at the end, so basically, the best friend, Shoujo, there was this moment where, we can start with her. So, there was this moment where, she knew that Sato was doing something. She knew something was amiss. Okay, well, she confronts Sato about it. Well, Sato deflects, because, like I said, she's trying to maintain her cover. So she deflects, and then she deflects again. And Shoujo has to think about courage, but she's like, nope, I have to press forward. I have to have Sato's back. I'm her best friend. I want to be better. I want to be strong. So she pushes forward. She pushes forward. She pushes forward. So eventually, Sato was gonna let her in. She was like, all right, maybe I can let Shoujo in on my crazy secret. But then Shoujo meets Sato's aunt, and Shoujo doesn't react well. And for Sato, she kind of saw that as a betrayal because she's like, look, that wasn't even the big secret. That was just my aunt's a freak. And that's the type of craziness that I come from and, that I was raised by. She's like, and if you're not about that, then clearly you're not really in my corner. So Sato saw it as a betrayal. Shoujo was super hurt and super mad at herself for backing off. And then Shoujo made some dumb mistakes, which, ultimately, again, we're in the spoiler section, ultimately got her killed. She died. She was one of the deaths in the anime. So Shoujo, there was this point where, now remember, Shio is considered missing. Now, there is circumstances behind her being missing, so it's not really Sato's fault by comparison, because Shio's mother abandoned her, and after they left their abusive house, and Shio's mother hit Shio, and it's an onslaught of just craziness. So she abandons her in the middle of nowhere, and then that's where Sato meets her. So Sato meets her in the middle of nowhere and then takes her in so she has, a place to live and doesn't die on the street. And, and so then they both kind of fulfill each other. So then that ends up being the way it worked out. Well, Shoujo, much later on, she walks up to try and talk, I think this is later, days later or whatever, after their initial fight and the initial it didn't go well thing. She sees Shio and Sato together when they walk outside the house, right outside their apartment door, and she takes a picture of Shio and Sato together, and Sato turns and goes straight up homicidal on Shoko. But Shoko sends the message to Asahi, the older Shio's older brother, and so he now knows that Sato has Shio. And then Sato drags Shoko in the house. They have a big old fight. It looks like they made this repair, and it looked like their relationship was like that. Maybe Sato forgives Shoko and all this stuff. But then Shoko's trying to leave, and she's about to leave. Sato goes straight homicidal and then knifes her to death. And she like stabs her to death, and it's super brutal. But Shoko, that was the mistake, that she signed her own death warrant, was taking the picture of Shoko and Shio together and all of that stuff. And it was crazy. It was crazy. Now, it's even crazier because it's not even the first person Sato killed. It's not her first kill. And it's the first one we saw, but it's not her first kill. And so, and now here's the thing. That part is not part of the rating. That is not the reason it got the rating it did. I'm okay with that. That's just plot, all right? That Shoko, in some broken way, you could be like, sure, she brought it on herself. She shouldn't have taken the picture of Sato and Shio. She should have pressed and been there when she said that she was going to be. She should have, you know what I mean? Like, you could make up all these reasons, and that's kind of what I did. I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. Okay, well, then Shoko sends Asahi the picture so he knows, and so that kind of botches things. And then, but again, none of that was part of the rating. The real reason that the rating is not good. So at the end, Sato and Shio, because of Shoko's death, they're like, look, we have to leave. Sato initially was keeping everything from Shio and not telling her what she was doing, but then they have this cool episode where they have this initial fight and it's not good, but then they're like, but it was really, they were just getting through to each other, and then they talk, and then they're like, look, I'm your partner in crime, we're in this together, just tell me. So Sato tells Shio everything. She's like, I killed somebody, and I've been lying, I've been stealing, I've been all this stuff, and now we have to leave because I killed somebody, and all that stuff. And so all of that is part of, so that's the reason they have to leave. So then the day comes where they're going to leave. So they take off. And so Sato's aunt is enlisted by Sato to help them cover up the evidence. And then Sato and Shio had this cute little fake little, like, not even fake, but they had this cute little marriage ceremony that was just the two of them, and they Sato bought the two of them rings, so they each wear a ring, and they say vows, and it's super cute, right? And it's super cute, it's all fine. So, but when Sato was, like, framing Shoko's body for evidence, and she, like, dressed her up, and then Sato's aunt was gonna burn the whole apartment down, so that way it looks like that, it buys them time to looks like that maybe, they don't know who was killed, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to cover up evidence, right? But Sato took off her ring so she didn't get it dirty when she was taking care of the body, and then she forgot the ring at the house. So Sato and Shio leave for the airport to, like, take off to go, resettle somewhere else where they're not known. She forgets the ring, they go back. That's what ruins everything, because Asahi goes to her apartment, which him and Tayo find together, and they find the apartment, it's on fire, they have this confrontation, it's not pretty. Eventually, Sato and Shio realize they can't escape, they get stranded, they're stuck on the roof, the apartment's on fire, and then they're like, alright, well, you know what, we're not gonna get out of this, there's no way we're gonna escape, let's both kill each other, so let's both die. At least that way we're together, right? Okay, so even then, all right, I'm still on board, okay? Even up to this point, we're still on board. This is final episode material, okay? So they're on the roof. Apartment's on fire. It's all going poorly. They both jump off together after they say I love you, to each other. It was super cute, super loving. They bail off the roof. Okay, so mid-fall, they're both falling through the air. Now, here was the decision I made. I'm like, if they both live, it's a 5 out of 5. If they both die, it's a 4 out of 5. If one of them lives and one of them dies, it's a 3. And I feel like that was the 3 options we had, almost certainly, right? Okay, so they both jump off the roof. So they're falling through the air. Last minute, Sato decides to give her life for Shio rather than both of them dying. And so she curls up, so she's the only one that dies. Shio survives the impact. So Shio lives, Sato dies, and then the very last scene, like after the credit song and everything else, Shio's in the hospital. Her brother comes in to see her. Their crazy, stupid, abusive, worthless mother is on the street somewhere looking up at Shio, Shio's hospital room, and and then Asahi's like, hey, you know, we can live together, it'll be happily ever after, don't worry about it. Shio turns to look at him, and and her face is all Sato. It looks like very similar to Sato, and she's like, you know, like, oh, I don't do that stuff anymore, and basically saying that like Shio is with me forever now, and she's like lives in my heart, and that's the only happiness I need or whatever. So basically, Shio turns down her stupid family as she should have, but she lives, Sato dies, so 3 out of 5. So it's so frustrating because now Shio is like zen or whatever with Sato's death, even though that, like, you know, the reason that them both dying is a higher score is because if they both had died, my headcanon for any anime that's killed both people that I love the most was it's fine because now they're together in the afterlife or whatever, right? And so it's always been my headcanon that, so it's always made it okay, so I could give anime a much higher score than otherwise they would have. I'm like, oh, well they both died, then that's better then. That's better than one of them living and one of them dying, right? And that's always been how I have felt. Well, this anime killed Sato, let Shio live, 3 out of 5. And it just bugs me. It makes me so mad because the anime was great. I loved it a lot. It was on track for a 5 out of 5. Even if they both had died, that would have been a 4 out of 5, which is still considered ownable. I wouldn't have watched it all the time, but I would have remembered that it's good. But in the anime, all of it was great until the ending. And the ending, I did not like it, and I don't like what they did with it. And so that's why it got the rating that it did. And it makes me mad because it didn't have to be that way. They could have done something else. They could have gotten a better score. And it makes me kind of want to wonder, well, what's the manga like? Is the manga different? Was that an anime thing? And so I'll do some studying and I'll see if the manga was different. If it is different and if their ending was better, I'll read it. If not, then of course I won't. But anyway, I don't know. So that's basically it. That's all there is to tell. And it makes me mad because it didn't have to be that way, but that's what we got stuck with. Anyway, and so other than that, though, that is this review in a nutshell. So basically, I will be recording Fallout 4 right after this, so if you are interested in Fallout 4, you are more than welcome to stay tuned. And this episode is going to be fun and big because we will be working on probably main story DLC related things and maybe getting some cool armors. And this one is going to be a fun one, so very excited about that. And other than that, though, I think that's going to call for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and we will talk to you guys later.